We live.
You always scare me with that because I never know if it's actually going to catch. So that's why I was waiting to point at you. But you weren't paying attention to the point. But it's okay.
I was. I just
You
didn't know if
definitely
you were
weren't.
pointing this time or not.
Well, if you were paying attention, then you would have got when I pointed at you. But that's not what happened. Okay.
Whatever.
Well, everybody, as you can see, we haven't changed. We still have these kinds of conversations. But yes, last week was a bye week for the both of us. We both just got off of spring break, so I didn't make an announcement on Instagram or anything. Just those who were curious reached out and asked me, and I just told them that, like last season, I guess we just needed a week to kind of enjoy ourselves a little bit and kind of not really focus on having a guest or coming up with a topic for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But lucky for you guys, that's also going to happen this week because we are coming off of spring break and people are either still out of town or are just kind of busy in general.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a guest again.
What are you talking about?
Who's our guest, Thomas?
It's my demons.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
Sorry, my fault. It's my new Squishmallow. His name is Noodles.
Is that actually his name?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of a lame name because he's just eating noodles.
I know. I didn't come up with the name, so.
Yikes.
Sorry. Would you rather have Chandelier over here? No, his name is Ollie. Ollie the Ornament.
Is that what he is?
Mm-hmm.
You do like your Squishmallows, don't you?
I mean, most of these are gifts. The only one I bought was
This one you borderline stole and then later asked if you could have.
Well, no. She just said I could have it.
All right. Well, we'll try and stray away from stuff that the audience can't see because, again, I was still thinking again today about trying to get a camcorder because I really want like people to see what's
like what we're
happening.
talking-
Yeah. And
Imagine
just
if the
the
camcorder.
position that you're in right now. You look like the Michelangelo where he's reaching up to.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. If we recorded it, like episodes that we recorded in my room, they'd just be seeing like my butt the whole time.
Well, that's why we're wait, hold on. Let me think about what I'm going to say. That's why we have the levity. I don't know if that's the right word. That's why we have the ability, I guess, in this sense, to record in your room like this because we're not recording.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were consistently recording, we would just always be out in the living room,
Mhm.
which I don't have a problem with, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not able to get as comfortable as you are.
Yeah,
right now.
like episodes like this, I would actually have to like sit up. Well, episodes like this, I would get and just like lay down and relax. But if we did record, I would actually have to sit upright with a good posture, or make it seem like I'm actually paying attention. But sometimes like my brain dozes off.
Sometimes even when you are sitting up, I feel like you're not paying attention.
Oh, it dozes off sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, no, if
That's
we
the word I would
No,
use.
when I tell you, if we recorded the episode yesterday, I would have been.
Well, you and I
passed out.
both were quite what's the word?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Burned out. I don't know.
I was gonna say something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, because we don't have a guest this week, unfortunately, again for you guys, sorry, Dad, because I know he's been the main person to say something about that.
Really?
But well, I mean, the main person. He's brought it up before. I've mentioned a couple times in the episodes in the past, but we don't really have a topic this week. So I was just gonna kind of go over a couple things. Just, I guess this could just be like an update episode, kind of like what's been going on in our lives.
Yeah.
How spring break went. I know yours wasn't as eventful as mine.
Which honestly, I was chill though. I actually like my spring break how it was.
Well, the thing that kind of, and we'll get into our stories about how our spring breaks went. The thing that kind of like upset me a little bit, I guess, was the fact that my spring break didn't even really begin until
The end
Friday.
of it?
Yeah, like the last 3 days, which I still made memories and had like a really good time, but I was working up until we left. So, I mean, it was good because I needed to, and I found a way to occupy my time, I guess, until we went on the trip. But I do wish that more time was spent in the mountains where I went, or if I were able to, I was thinking about going home and then coming back and then going to the mountains. But yeah, that wasn't really an option for me because, like I said, I didn't.
Well, I'm upset that I didn't go to the mountains with y'all. Like, I would love Like especially
I feel like you really definitely could have. Like I know that was your last game and like it was your senior night or whatever, but like,
my coach wouldn't have let me switch or anything just because of
well, you can switch. Like
Yeah,
literally,
'cause-
that's the one game you can't.
yeah, because once again it's like
Because they're
senior night.
celebrating you, so
Yeah.
like that wouldn't make any sense. But
Just imagine like they're just like calling out my name and just someone else shows up for me because I wasn't there.
But you know what that reminds me of? Back in middle school, I don't know if you remember this happening, but back in middle school, I told Miss Malik that I was going to be
Oh, gosh.
on the
Oh.
cross country team, or like I wanted to be on the cross country team.
Mhm.
And I guess that signified like a spot on the roster or something, I guess, because I told her at like the beginning of the year, I said, hey, I want to
Oh
probably
yeah,
join
because she was
cross.
like the coach for cross
Yeah.
country team, right? I forget about that.
Well, she was her science teacher and the coach.
Mhm.
But I told her that I wanted to be on cross country, and she basically was just like, "All right, cool. I'll like keep a note of that, I guess." Well, months later at one of our pep rallies, they gave out signs to members of the team, I guess,
Mhm.
and we were sitting in the crowd, and they read off the people who were going to be receiving the sign, and they said my name, and I wasn't on the team because I guess just something happened, and I just didn't end up joining the team.
Mhm.
So I was sitting in the crowd, and I just heard Cole Corbett, and I literally looked at my friends like, "Did he say my name?" And they were like, "Yeah," and I just kind of like looked at Miss Malik, and she's like, "I don't know." So they filled out my name for a spot on the roster, but I was never actually on the team, which I thought was really funny.
But didn't you do cross country?
Well, yeah. So the next year I did it, and then I actually got a sign.
Okay.
But the year before, I told them I was going to do it, and they were like, "Word!" And then a little kid, I guess, made a sign for me, but I didn't. I wasn't on the
so
team.
you got a sign, but like you weren't.
Well, I think I'm making that part. I don't think they actually made a sign
Oh,
for me,
okay.
but they read my name out. I think just as who was on the team, and I was just in the crowd looking at my friends, and I was just okay. Well,
Man, I don't remember this, but granted,
throwback.
That's funny because I don't remember that.
Well, I only remember it because it was very specific and it pertained to me
That's
because
fair.
it was a very like what the heck kind of moment.
Bro,
but-
do you now that you bring that up, do you even remember like pep rallies and stuff like that in middle school? Because I rarely don't.
Not really. They were kind of like
Blurs
for the
yeah.
most part, but it was also we got robbed several times because I don't know if anybody that we went to middle school, elementary school with listens to this at all.
Mm.
But if you do, and for obviously those of you that don't know or aren't aware, the way our pep rally worked was at the end, I think it was the end, we had a competition. It was basically which grade was the loudest. Do
I
you
do
remember?
remember
And we got
that.
the spirit stick.
Yeah, oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
And almost every year, our grade there was like 1 or 2 years maybe where I looked at it and I said, you know what, that grade, they deserve it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, our grade every single year, we're just like screaming our lungs out.
Yeah.
And we never got the spirit stick. Can you remember? Do we ever get it?
I remember I remember 1 year.
We were like runner up maybe.
Yes,
feel
I
like.
remember 1 year specifically because now like thinking back on it, this was the year when Mr. Braga like shaved his head. Like they did it like a.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they like shaved his head, and that was the year. I think it was either our 7th grade or 8th grade year. I can't remember exactly, but we were like really really loud, and we got rounded up next to like 2nd graders, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I think I do remember that actually, because he
Because-
made a bet with somebody and then
Mhm.
he had to shave his head.
Yeah, and this was when the new gym opened around that time.
Yeah.
Because I forgot we built a new gym, so then we had like our prep rally like the first time in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like actually now looking back was a really nice gym, honestly.
I was about to say that was like an A1 facility.
Yeah, for sure. And I miss going back there sometimes.
Maybe next time we're in the hometown, we'll go back. I was actually thinking about visiting our high school a little while ago. Cause
You know what's funny? Well, I was gonna actually bring it up.
don't say the name of the high school.
What? No, I was gonna bring it up because
I know your ways. I had to be very careful.
Think about.
'Cause I'd be tiptoeing around the names of people that work, and you're just like, oh, you talking about George?
Oh,
I'm like, okay.
my fault. No, it's just like I was gonna bring this up because we were gonna talk about spring break because I went back to Raleigh this past Wednesday, and I went to our high school for the first time in like forever, and holy, it's weird because it's been like what 4 years since we've been in high school now.
Something like that, yeah.
So like, there's like a whole set, like new set of like high schoolers. Like I don't recognize a single one of them.
Yeah.
So I was walking around and I'm like, dude, I don't know a single one of these people. B, it feels like a memoriam, like it just like, or like a monument, like an old monument that you haven't been in a long time. Because like I walked around the campus after I went there to like stump with some of the kids. I'm just like, dude, it's so wild that this high school like was such like a big place to me, but now looking back, it's so small because now we're used to like university campuses and stuff like that. So like going back to high school, everything looked like so small and like tiny to me, just because probably A, I'm grown up now,
Yeah.
and B, like it's just like so weird. Like it doesn't feel right. I felt so out of place.
Well, I remember we went back to. I agree with you, and we went back a couple of years ago when we were in high school. We went back to our middle school. Do you remember we took a trip and we said hi to Miss Del Sega?
During her class.
Yeah, I think. And we were talking to her. She was just asking us questions about where we are now and everything like that, and if we're talking about going to college and stuff like that. But walking down that hallway, like you were talking about, I didn't recognize anybody, but also it just felt so puny compared to like, because you're right, when we were in middle school, I use more middle school because I feel like I visited back there in a weird way more often when I was in high school than when I was.
Wait, say that again.
Like, I think I visited our middle school more.
Oh, in high school.
When I was in high school compared to me visiting high school now as a college student.
That's also because your sister was still in, like at the school.
I mean, yeah, I guess
so
that's true. I had to pick her up a couple times. Yeah, so
that would make more sense. I did not. Like once I graduated from like middle school and like that school, I like didn't go back.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just so weird, like going back and just seeing all these kids that I don't know, but also all these classrooms that were huge when I was like 5 feet tall.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
And then now I'm 5'9", maybe stat padding a little bit, but going down those hallways, I'm like, yo, they did not build this thing for people that are taller. Like the teachers that are like 6'2", 6'3", I'm like, how do y'all walk around these classes?
Okay, I think this also goes into like what's the word? I don't know how to say.
Oh no, we're not gonna do a naturally part 2.
No, it's like I think this goes into like how comfortable you are in like your environment, if that makes sense. So like growing up, we get exposed to each environment differently, but I think, wow, what is in my throat?
You good? Take a second, drink some water. If you...
I think I just got food stuck in my throat. That's why. Hold on. Anyways, I think I'm good now. I think this goes into like when we grow up, we usually grow with the environment that we're also in. So like maybe this is just me, but like the apartments and houses that I lived when I was younger seem very small to me and like, or no, big to me. But as I grew up now and like grow up bigger, I realized,
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and like that, I think that kind of makes sense with like how you are, because I think middle school back then like was a pretty big facility, and I think like if you are in that like facility pretty often, it might look normal and big to you, but because we're like not in that area anymore, like facility, it just looks weird. Because like when I went to high school, I thought that campus was huge, like the high school campus, and like as I spent more time on like going to school, like attending classes, like it was still pretty big to me, but like it wasn't, you know, I got used to like the area, I knew where everything was, so it felt like, oh, this is just like a normal size school. And then going to college, like I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a pretty big campus, like I have to walk like 10 minutes to walk to the other building, while in high school like I had to walk like 2 minutes. So I think the environment we're in, it grows as we grow as well. So like, because even this apartment is huge compared to like the apartment I lived in with my family when I was younger. And I think if I visited back in that apartment that I lived with my family, I would have been like, dang, how the F did I live in this environment?
I mean, we've gotten to a point now where it really just doesn't matter.
I know, but I tried to catch myself.
You're doing good, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like, it's... Because that just makes sense in the terms of when you're getting older, you're getting bigger, and the places you're going to are getting bigger because there's more opportunities and there's going to be more people. Hadn't really thought about it like that before, so it's an interesting way of looking at it. I'm not going to use the P word because we need to stray from saying such a thing.
I thought you were gonna say it.
We'll let our guests do that, but because we don't have one.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool to think about. But anyway, getting into kind of where we are now. Do you want me to talk about my spring break first? Or do you want to go about yours? So, I'm trying to. Okay, so there was one other thing I wanted to make mention of before we started our spring break story, and this is its own little story. And I guess maybe like depending on how long talking about spring break goes, or how long talking about this subject goes. Spring break can maybe be the end of the episode or something like that.
Okay.
But I mentioned it before we went on spring break, and since the last episode, Thomas and I's favorite band of all time now seemingly released their album. So Harbor, the band, who we're very excited to try and go see if they come anywhere close to North Carolina, in either the bordering states or in a drive that's hopefully not that far. But Harbor the band released their album titled To Chase My Dreams or To Just Lie Down. And I try to say this looking at it in a non-biased opinion, because definitely people will look at it and that's just not their taste in music. So like I understand. But somebody like me, who I tend to think that I'm just kind of like a journeyman when it comes to music, and I'm generally pretty open-minded. This album has not a single skip, and there's some song. It's the case with most albums. There's some songs obviously you just prefer to listen to other than others, but listening to this album for the first time all the way through, there's not a single song where you can definitively just stop it halfway through and be like, this sucks. Like there's one song that's slower, but it kind of needs that. And one of the girls at work that I talked to, she said that I recommended that she listen to the album, and her one criticism was that all the songs pretty much sound the same. And she's not wrong. Like I'm not gonna look at her and be like, "What? That's stupid," or "You're just a hater," or something like that. She's not wrong, but they all have their own unique kind of like melody and lyrics, obviously, to them. Yeah, when that album dropped, Thomas and I listened to it in his room. We listened. So they had released there's 10 songs on the album, and they had released 4 of them leading up to the release of the album. They released Sleepyhead, Bahamas, I've Only Started Running, and Swimming in My Head before the album came out. But as an ode to the album, we just listened to the entire thing all the way through, even though we had already heard some of the songs. So when we were listening to the songs that had come out before the album, we just kind of talked, and we're talking about AR Anticipation, but also just if there was a new song before it, we would talk because we've already heard those songs like thousands of times before. But we listened to it in his room, and it hit us both in a way. You can speak about your own experience, but it just hit me in a way of like, kind of like Soul. I've brought up the movie Soul several times on this podcast.
And I still have yet to watch it.
Oh, okay, that should be the movie that we watch, because Thomas and I have been trying to watch a movie forever, like these past few weeks or whatever. We should watch Soul, so I can actually have like a genuine like conversation.
Oh, okay.
Because I changed. I know I told you guys, but I changed my parents' opinion on that movie, because when we ranked our Disney movies, I put it in the S tier, and that's one of my favorite animated Disney movies ever. And they looked at me like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy." And they went back and watched it, and I think my dad said he cried.
Yeah, you did tell me that.
Because he looked at the movie in a completely different light when he watched it. But I view this album kind of having a similar effect that Soul had on me, and then it came in like such a critical point in my life, I feel like now, where there were some bad things going on. I was in a bad place, and now I'm a lot happier, and I'm more content with where I am and who I am. And kind of just the overall message of the album in general, To Chase My Dreams or To Just Lie Down. And I went through a good period, or a good couple months, where I was just lying down. But it feels like in a now metaphorical sense, because I'm a lot happier and everything, I'm kind of chasing my dreams in a sense. But when we were listening to it and we heard the new songs, specifically Thorns and Fish Tank, because we went back and listened to all of the new songs again after we listened to the album in its entirety. And Thorns and Fish Tank both, not only just kind of like the melody, because they had, I pointed this out to you, the one thing kind of consistent in the album was they had that one guitar, like, bing, it was like a higher pitch, and they used specifically in Fish Tank at the end with
Yeah.
like it. They used that kind of consistently throughout the album, which is amazing, and I love it. But when we were listening to it, the lyrics, we were also trying our best, well, in our state of euphoria, with just the melody, just trying to pay attention to the lyrics and kind of what message it was conveying. And I implore all of you, because Kayla, one of our friends, we converted into a Harbor fan because I think we almost bullied her into like listening to the album.
Pretty much.
But I implore all of you, if you do ever, and I know we've just kind of oversaturated and we've talked about Harbor like literally every episode. If you do go listen to the album, and I highly suggest that you do, pay attention, especially to Fish Tank, the lyrics in Fish Tank, but also like Everything's Fine. It has so many good lyrics too.
Yeah.
Does Thorn, I know we love Thorn just kind of in general for like its melody. Did it have some pretty deep lyrics as well? Okay. Thorn, Everything's Fine, and Fish Tank. Specifically, your first time listening to it, you can just listen to it how you want to the first time. But if you listen to it again, pay attention to what they're saying. Because it really, when we listen to it, and again, I'll hand it off to you in a second. When I listened to it for the first time, it put me just in kind of like a numb state because I turned my mic off. It made me just like, because you brought up a really good point, and I guess right now that's my sign to shut up because I can't think of anything to say. But
Okay.
You brought up a good point, and their past albums have, it seems that like Heatwave, Thoughts on Letting Go, and now this one, they each had their own message.
Yeah.
And obviously this one, just judging by the title of it, was, I think what I said was something along the lines of Ryan, the lead singer. It's not just him, obviously, because they write the songs as a band. But Ryan is kind of conveying the message of he knows what he has to do, and like he has a goal or a dream that he like he wishes to accomplish, but he pretty much sees no point because every song is a contradiction to itself. It just says like a hey, like I'm trying to think of a lyric in specific, like in Fish Tank, for example, he says, write my thoughts down in the kitchen, spent so many nights alone, I don't even know the difference. And like there's just so many, and then the whole is that also Fish Tank where he says nighttime whiskey?
Yep. Nighttime
coffee, morning whiskey. Watch my clock tick through the mirror, so time I waste will never hit me. Because if you watch a clock through a mirror, it goes in reverse, so you don't think that time has been passing. Basically, it's going in. It's just so good. I want you to talk about how you felt about it.
The first time I heard the album, I was just so like you were saying, like you're in a numb state. I would say like I'm in a numb state, but I was more like in a shock, euphoric state. I mean, I know you said you were in, like we were in euphoria basically, but it was just so good because this was also like one of the first albums I was actually able to like listen to the lyrics very well because I'm bad at hearing in general, but like I could actually hear the lyrics pretty well, except that the morning coffee, the morning whiskey, nighttime, whatever, I forgot the lyrics. But that one, we had to hear like the mirror so part for a while, but for the most part, like I understood the lyrics, I could hear it, and it hit me in all many places that I thought my emotions couldn't be hit before. And it came at like a perfect time in my life too, because unlike you, I was going through some things around that time, especially Everything's Fine. That song is like I think it's I don't know, I can never choose which one's my favorite.
Well, not obviously. I want you to continue, but the one just to that point, I think it's Open Season. Ooh. It talks about letting somebody go, or like I think there's literally a verse somewhere in there that says, "Oh crap, keep talking." I'll look it up.
Left Me on Red. Are you talking about that one?
Well, that's in Thorn. He says, "Leave me on red. You got to do this on your own. That's what you said." And then I don't remember what the rest of the lyric was, but keep talking about, because Open Season, there's one line in specific that says something like, I just need to let you go, but I can't, kind of thing. But
I know what you're talking about. That's the scene was like, not the scene. Wow, I'm talking this as a movie. But yeah, the album is just so good. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, but um, this is like the first album I actually felt like a really good connection to, other than like maybe some Frank Ocean songs. And even then, I haven't even listened to all of the Frank Ocean albums. But like that tells you something, because this is how I describe Harbor's music, specifically this album, because I don't know any other songs or any other like albums that convey this like feeling. It's one of those albums that you can like listen to with the windows down. It's the summertime. You're screaming on top of your lungs at the max volume, but at the same time, it's also songs that you can listen to while you're laying on the top of your hood at night with some other person stargazing. Like, those are the songs that they have. It's both. Like, I can't describe how one song, for example, like Everything's Fine, can convey both those feelings. Like, I could do both. Like, I don't know. There's so many words I could say about this album, but the one thing I could say before I go on a ramble is that just mere perfection. Mere perfection, and can make you feel one way or the other, like happy or sad.
I mean, I think that's the main. So, the girl at work when I was talking to her about it, when she brought up the whole thing about like most of the songs sounds the same, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. That's like the one main. Okay, well, I had two criticisms of the album, even though I still stand by my point that they don't have any skips. Also, before I talk about it, so the lyric was, I think this is the one I was thinking about. He says, "Take another minute to grow. I'm thinking of you. Oh no, I'm not gonna show it."
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like other lyrics that talk about, like this other one says, "I loved you then, I love you now. Just know I will not always be around. When you reach for me, I will not be found."
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot of talk of there's somebody in your life that's just kind of a negative that you're just like getting.
I mean, that's the
here.
same thing in like the beginning of the lyrics when they say, "Take another picture, it'll last longer." And then the second one, it was like, it goes like, "I want you back, but I know that's not what I should do."
Yeah.
Like something related to that. I don't know like those exact lyrics.
Well, also just kind of to agree what you were talking about, because I think that's literally what I said was, I just envisioned myself driving down a beach or something, and you could just see the horizon in the background. But it's also, like, you're right, you can listen to it then and in the car and hyping up with your friends, but also if you guys just want to chill and just lay outside and look up at the stars, you can do the exact same thing too. Which is why I love that the album is such a contradiction of itself, because it takes all the highs and shows you what that could look like, but it also shows you where you came from and the lows. But my main two criticisms of the album, even though I think it's a 10 out of 10 easily, is that the songs do sound the same, and also there was a lot of... Harbor has a tendency of... They start off really loud and full of energy, and then they kind of like come down and finish the song that way, which isn't a bad thing. Obviously, that I feel like most songs are probably like that, honestly, if you think about it. But there was one song in specific, Open Season, where we were just talking about, where they did like ba 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 in the beginning, and then they did like a dun dun dun, like the bass at the end, and it was kind of quiet, and then they went a dun dun dun, and then pow, and it went right back to it, and that's where our joke of like oh came from.
Yeah.
Because we went crazy, because I was like, please, because that was the third to last song I think in the album, and all the songs leading up to that did that thing where it started bah, 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 and it just kind of stopped, and I was like, oh crap, I wish they would do that. And then when it was on the bass part in Open Season, I was like, please, 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 and they did it. I wanted to cry because it was just so beautiful. But yes, I definitely, obviously, if you weren't listening to the past 10 minutes, we both heavily advocate for you guys to go listen to the album. It's, like I said, it's 10 songs. They're relatively short. The good thing, though, is they're around like 3 to 4 minutes per song, and they're not like a... Because, I don't know if you've heard this, but there's memes and stuff all out there where it's like your favorite artist of all time drops their greatest song of all time, but it's 2 minutes long.
Yep.
You're like, damn, I wish that this was longer.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's what this album is, but it's the 4 minutes that you wanted. So yes, please go and listen to it if you haven't. Kayla, we've already converted, and she wants to go on this road trip with us when they come to a city near us. So that'll be very exciting. But
Please, Harbor, please come to us.
please, I checked their like a feature on this other band's tour right now, which is where we would see them. I checked it as they announced it, and the North Carolina show is sold out. So hopefully, like
Harbor?
so hopefully when they go on tour, it's not the same thing, because I'm gonna be so sad if that's the
No,
case.
very much so.
But yeah, Straying from Harbor, a band that we've talked about way too much over the past few episodes.
We haven't talked too much about
I
it.
bring them up all the time.
Yeah. I try not to because
Because you brought up a good point, though. I don't want to listen to this album so much that I just like become sick of it.
that's why. Well, see, like the good thing about this so far is that I have been doing that, but I haven't been getting sick of it. Like I tried to think about it as if I'm listening to it the first time again.
I've had a couple days where I've been like that, but then also sometimes I just find myself listening to the same like 3 songs over and over again.
Fish Tank.
Fish Tank, Thorn, and everything's fine. And I'm like, okay, I gotta stop because I need to kind of switch it up here and there.
Mhm.
Which can transition to Spring Break, because that's kind of what happened in the car. I switched up the tunes every so often.
Mhm.
But I could just tell my story about how my Spring Break went first. So I think we actually have brought it up on a previous episode talking about how your coach is a bum and she wasn't going to let you go on the trip anyway.
Yeah.
But myself, Zuri, Tyler, Chris, and Kayla all went up to Bryson City, Western North Carolina, up in the mountains. And I took a pretty similar trip last spring break, but we went to Gatlinburg. So a little bit farther west, i.e.
In
another
Tennessee?
state.
Yeah, I was about to say in Tennessee.
But also in the mountains, so it's still in a pretty similar region. But I can say without a doubt that this trip was a lot better than that one for a couple of reasons. The only thing I would say that Gatlinburg had over this trip that I took was that it was, I think, like 2 or 3 days longer, which
Yeah.
for what I paid for this trip, I kind of wish that it was a little bit longer. But then again, I would have probably spent more money if it was longer. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Who knows?
But yeah, we had a blast. It was like piss rain when we were going up there, so that was kind of unfortunate.
Oh yeah.
Got a little wet, which was not what we had in mind. But yeah, we had a really good time. The only bad thing was that Bryson City and kind of just the area that we were around was very small town, and there weren't a whole lot of. The closest place that we went to do like our shopping and exploring was Cherokee, which is probably a 20-25 minute drive away,
Mhm.
which isn't terrible. But we had a little town that was like right next to where we were staying. But the only thing there really were like a couple restaurants, which were like as mid as it could possibly be, and a couple of like knick-knack shops. But there weren't any real like shopping centers and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask, how'd you guys end up choosing Bryson to go to for spring break?
Well, we knew that we wanted to go to the mountains, so
Mhm.
we were just kind of Zuri. I tipped the cap to her because she did all of the planning she gave us a list of places because, like I said, we knew that we wanted to go to the mountains, but we wanted to stay relatively close to where we were. We didn't want to go on some like 5-hour drive or something. And I think Bryson City was the one that we all just kind of unanimously agreed upon.
How far was that?
It was only like a 3-hour drive. I thought
Not
it
bad.
was gonna be like 4 or like close to 4, but we put in the nav and it was like 3:10 or something
not
like
bad.
that. So it really wasn't that bad. And the drive itself, like it didn't feel like even Gatlinburg. When we went up there and we went down there, the people I was in the car with, it did not feel like 4 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than some of the food here and there, because some of the restaurants are like meh. I had a really good time. We went hiking on a trail, saw some waterfalls. That was really nice. Contrary to what happened in Gatlinburg, which is one of the stories that happened, which I told Zuri, I said, please don't let this happen again when we go to Bryson City. I don't know whose idea it was for Gatlinburg. Whoever's it was, F you, because I don't know why you thought this was a good idea. But we drove 4 hours. We woke up early when we went to Gatlinburg. This was last spring, not the trip I just took. We woke up early. I didn't eat breakfast because just going on a long car ride, even though it's bad for me, I can just kind of starve. And then when we get off wherever, I'll just eat like a big meal or whatever. We got in the car, drove 4 hours, and then immediately took like a 2.5 mile hike. like up a mountain, which was literally just an incline. Like there was no flat points at all, basically whatsoever. And I was at the top of the mountain, like, and meanwhile, like other people in that group were just in shape, and I was like, all right, screw you guys.
Wait, did y'all not eat or anything like
No.
when you got there? Y'all just immediately went hiking?
Well, I'm trying to think because we went to go eat pizza, but I can't remember if that was after we went on the hike. I think that was after. Like we went and ate after we went on the hike. I could be wrong.
Were none
Either
of them
way,
hungry at all before going to the hike? But honestly, okay, so like I understand why you didn't eat on like before the cart ride because I just have bowel movements all the time. So like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar. I don't want to have to like pee an hour.
that's
in
what
or
I'm
something
saying. Like
that.
I don't want to do that either. I don't want to be like, hey, can you guys pull over? I gotta go like drop a load like in an hour or something like that.
For lack of better expression, I guess.
Yeah, but like I can understand. I'm just saying, like I can understand why you didn't eat or like drink water or something like that before you went on the drive because you don't want to stop every 30 minutes to go pee or poop or something like that. So that makes sense. I would think they would just stop like or like once you guys get to the city, eat and then go on the hike. But no, there's
no. Okay, now that I'm remembering it correct, oh my goodness. Well, remember we now that I am remembering it correctly. We ate after we went on the hike because I remember I just devoured the food that we had. We went and got pizza. But yeah, me and my migraine-prone self, we walked up an incline for like 2 hours. I was in jeans and boots, bruh. Like it was not the boots were fine, but I was wearing jeans because we didn't get to the house yet, so we didn't have time to change. Like I guess I could have changed in the car.
That's what.
But I was
okay. Let me ask. Who planned the trip? Like all of it.
That we're not going to talk about. But
that's fair.
Yeah. So we went on a hike, and I was like, oh my! And we got back down, and it was like, oh man, the view was worth it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But the trek up to the hill, death was an easier answer in that situation. But we got back down. I was like, bro, can we just please go back to the house? I just need to go into a coma right now. It's not good. And then on this trip that I just took, we did the opposite of that. We actually prepared first. Mm-hmm. So then when I went on the hike, what do you know? I actually was in better shape because I had nutrients in my body.
But from what I saw, like the pictures that you posted, that hike wasn't like an incline.
It was also a lot flatter.
I was about to say,
which was nice.
It didn't look like it was a straight incline.
But also, I was talking to Kayla about it because Kayla was the only person that was on the Gatlinburg trip and this one with me. I really wanted to see if I could do the one that we did in Gatlinburg again, having food in my system. Because I feel like it would fare a lot better.
I think you would have been fine.
Especially because the one that we took in Bryson City, I was wearing shorts, which was a way better decision. But yeah, so we went on the trail. That was really cool. There was a couple up there with us. They took some pictures for us, and then I took one for them. But yeah, we just went on the trail, and then Zuri and Kayla went to go gem mining a little bit. Me, Tyler, and Chris just kind of like held back a little bit because it was like $12, and it was just like you just swish some rocks and water and everything. You get like a little bucket that you get, like a little beach bucket from the dollar store that you get to keep and everything. I was like,
I think I remember doing that in middle school.
Yeah, I was like, this is kind of stupid. No shot at Zuri and Kayla because like it looked fun, but I was like, it's kind of pointless in my mind. But
Crystal Girls.
But oh no. Anyway, after that, we went to a little strip in Cherokee because that was the closest little city, and we just shopped around a little bit. I got a knife, which is a pretty cool knife that Zuri is still anxious about because I just will like play with it every so often. I've only cut myself once on accident, so that was pretty cool.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I was like trying to show them. I think actually, like as a joke, she was like, "Stop playing with that, bro. You're gonna cut yourself." I was like, "What?" I flicked it open. It like grazed the tip of my finger, and it didn't start like bleeding, but like seared the skin, so like, you could see the little flap of skin.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, we shopped around a little bit, and then we went back to the house, and then Saturday night, the night before we left, Tyler and I and Chris stayed up to watch the worst episode of Saturday Night Live I've ever seen in my life. Coming from one of my favorite people currently, and Travis Kelce. Shout out the Chiefs. F you, Craig and Lucy, for not being Chiefs fans. Love you guys. I didn't mean it. But Travis Kelce, tight end for the Chiefs, 2-time Super Bowl champion, tight end for the Chiefs, hosted Saturday Night Live, and he's a funny and charismatic guy. And the writer, and I don't know if he's just not a naturally born actor, but the writers at SNL gave him horrible material. Like I could have written better sketch. It was so bad. They were all the same thing. He's either just some creepy guy, or he's some really buff football player looking guy who's like sleeping with one of the cast members' moms or something. Like they had the same blueprint for every skit, and it was so stupid. They had one segment though, which was pretty funny, which I might show you, but it was called Straight Male Friend. One of the cast members, Bowen, he's gay. I think he's gay in real life, but he plays like gay characters most of the time. I hope he's gay. That would be awkward if he played a bunch of gay dudes. He's not gay. But they had one segment called Straight Male Friend. He was like, yeah, I love hanging out with my girls, but it's good to have that straight male friend every so often. And Travis did like a little skit where he's like, oh man, what, that was holy. And he like throws a controller at the. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
That was probably Tyler and I's favorite skit other than Weekend Update. But yeah, just not a good episode. We stayed up for it. It started at like 11:30, ended at like 1, and it was just not worth the wait. It was such a disappointment. But we got our fair share of basketball watching and stuff like that in while we were up there.
Well, I will say, y'all's Airbnb, it was really nice. Like
the house was pretty big and really nice.
Huge, yeah.
It looks pretty big, but on the inside it's actually a little bit smaller than you would think it is.
It looked like a lodge, if anything.
It was very spacious, but that was only in like 2 of the rooms maybe. So like the living room and then the basement where Kayla and I were sleeping. It was very spacious, but it was just kind of like compact. Where we stayed in Gatlinburg, it was extensive, but it was also just kind of like smaller,
How much
I guess.
did you pay per day for that Airbnb? 'Cause
Well,
I know y'all split it up between like 5 people?
Yeah, so we each paid around like $150.
Ooh, that's kind of expensive.
Which I mean, I guess
Per
isn't
day or
terrible.
total?
Just in total.
Oh, okay. That's not
But
bad.
which I guess isn't terrible. But for staying only 3 days, I kind of wish maybe
It would've been,
we got a little bit more out of it. But yeah, I had a blast. 10 out of 10 would do again. Love the people I went on the trip with. We're talking about it again. Chris wants to go to Miami. I know I brought that up to you, which I have to start saving like now if we want to go again.
because seeing pictures from you going to Bryson City and like the hikes, and especially the Airbnb y'all stayed at, it made me really want to go camping again. Because I haven't gone camping in forever. The last time I went camping was with Ethan and a couple of my friends. And I freaking love camping because I told you about it. You got to go camping with me because I feel like as much as you think, because I know you're a nature person, but you don't really like hardcore nature like that, where we're like in a tent, we got to make our own food and stuff like that, and like got to go pee and poop like in nature, like there's no bathrooms, we actually got to find a place to like do that. But like I feel like it would be so fun to go camping. Like it doesn't have to just be us, it could be like me, you, and like a couple other people like Chris, Tyler, Zuri. I mean, I think that group would be fun to go camping with too. There'd just probably be a lot of complaining, but I feel like it'd be I mean, like, there's a lot of things to complain about camping. Oh, there's a lot of bugs to bite me.
Well, that was so. I think you know this, but that was my original plan in the first place. Was I wanted to go camping, but
I actually didn't know that.
Well, it was the problem with that was just the time that we were choosing to go. It was a little bit colder,
but it was warm.
Well, when we were up in Bryson City, it was like a little chilly.
Oh, really?
It wasn't like intolerable.
No, it was warm here.
But and then it also like rained the first day, so that would have sucked.
Oh, okay.
When we got up there, if where we were staying was just drenched, so that would have been really unfortunate. But yeah, because that was the other thing too. Like when we went to Gatlinburg last spring, it rained like half the time we were there, if not more. But the good thing about Gatlinburg was they had a lot more indoor activities, so we could walk around and just go inside and do like putt-putt or laser tag or whatever it was. But that is the one thing that Gatlinburg had over this trip was
like a bunch of stuff around the city.
There was way more activities that you could do. You would in turn end up spending more money, but we were prepared to do that. Like when we went to Gatlinburg, so there were definitely a lot more memories in that department. But it's kind of like the cookout analogy that we use. It's good for what it is. Like for what you're
Yeah,
paying,
that's
it's
fair.
good.
Yeah.
For the amount of time that we were in Bryson City and for how much we paid, I had a really good time.
That's
so.
good.
And in the end, that's all that matters. So,
If you want a low budget trip that is very fun, but grueling, camping.
yeah, I definitely do want to go at some point. So
Like
whenever
real
that
camping?
is, yeah.
Okay. Because, like, whenever I talk to people about, like, camping sometimes, they, like, get the wrong idea of, like, what I mean by real camping. Because, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago, it was probably, like, junior year, I went on a camping trip with Louie, Tegan, and Jack. And when I brought up the camping idea originally, I was talking about, like, camping on top of, like, a mountain and then, like, waking up, seeing, like, the morning sun. They decided they wanted to go camping at, like, a campsite with, like, other people camping around us, which, like, I didn't have a problem with, but when it comes to camping, I'm a very introvert guy when it comes to camping. I don't like camping around, like, other people.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you want your own privacy. You want to do your own thing, do whatever you want. So when we went camping, I mean, it was still a fun time because we went camping at, I think it was Boone. I can't remember exactly where we went, but it was like a huge campsite. We had like it was basically like a hand meat campsite where they had like a barbecue grill that you just throw fire and then you can cook on, and then you have like it was kind of like a sandbox where you put like your tent in, and then there's like a bunch of trees that you can sleep in hammocks. Me and Louie slept.
Louie and I, damn it, you're a college student now, Thomas.
Sorry,
you should know.
Louie
better.
and I slept in hammocks with the trees, and then Tegan and Jack, I think they slept in hammocks as well. And then there was another night it started raining, so we slept in the tent. But like, we put the tent up for like decorations, if I'm being honest, because we didn't sleep in the tent unless we had to.
Well, so for me, honestly, it would probably be more beneficial for me, maybe not so much like what you guys did, but I would kind of need to be baby stepped into camping because I don't want to just be thrown in the wilderness. You're like, hey,
No.
you throw me some twigs and you say make a fire for me really
No,
quickly.
that's not the case.
While I fight off this bear that's trying to take our food. I'm like, yo, dog. Maybe I need to be kind of like
You know
in
what
a
they say?
gated in a gated campsite or something like
Bruh.
that. So.
No, I think if I took you on camping like how me and Ethan camp, I think you would have enjoyed it because we don't camp like in a forest. We camp on top of a mountain, and the mountain, at least the mountain that we were on top of, was like treeless. And what I mean treeless is because the mountain was just so high that trees can't really like grow up there.
There's no possibility for life at your altitude.
No, it's just cold. So like no, it's just really really cold. So like trees can't really grow up there that well. So like there's just a bunch of bushes and dirt basically. Which is fine because like when we camped up there, the sights in the morning are amazing.
Well, didn't you say like for that one that you and Ethan did, the stars at night were like amazing?
Yes, because there's no light pollution.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of away from the city where most of the pollution happens because of light.
Yeah.
We could like vividly see the stars.
Mhm.
And there is like a city nearby, so like you can see the lights from a distance. You can see the lights going on. It looks beautiful too because they have like a Ferris wheel, and you can see like the Ferris wheel like spinning around at night. Beautiful.
It's pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. So like, and plus, the area that we camped at, there's like multiple mountains, so you can like choose a mountain and claim that as your own. So like the mountain that we chose, it was just us on top of a mountain, and we did whatever we wanted, which is very nice. Like we,
Sounds romantic.
just a little bit. We played cards. Well, no. So like my first camping experience was kind of bad because, we went to the same mountain, but it was just me and Ethan, and of course it was raining the whole time. That was the only bad part. It rained the whole 3 days.
Rain definitely is a dampener. In
Well, yeah, but I
camping
mean, it was
plan.
fine because we had a tarp over our tent because that's what you're supposed to do if it rains.
Yeah.
But it just sucked because we couldn't stargaze at night because it was raining and we would get wet. Like I was drenched because once again, the mountain's so high, you're so close to the clouds that like you get like the heavy rainfall. There's no like, because you know how water like dissipates as like it gets lower and lower or like spreads out more.
Yeah.
But because we're so close to the clouds, it just like hailed on us.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So it sucked, but and we couldn't go do one of the things that we wanted to do because normally this trip, what we do is that it's a 3-day 2-night trip. The first night we get there, we hike up the mountain, we set up camp, we chill out for the night, we cook food, whatever. The second night, or like the second day, we go hike this trail to go to this waterfall. It's called I think it's called Boxcar Waterfall, and we jump in the water. We like not skydive. What is it called? Waterfall jumping, I guess.
Like cliff jumping?
Yes, cliff jumping into the waterfall. Amazing! I would do that every single time when we go on that trip. I freaking love it.
Well, so Zuri and Kayla were prepared to like jump into a waterfall, but the waterfalls that we saw were not that kind of waterfall. Like they were, it was a lot more shallow. So if they were to jump in, they were going to die because it was just there were just so many like sharp rocks and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, if I were to go camping, I would probably have to be like a baby stepped into it. I don't want to just kind of, like I said, be thrown into the wilderness. But like I was saying, that was my original plan in the first place. But I think even just kind of what we did, it ended up really kind of working out in the end. So
I mean, do you have like an idea of what you want to do for camping wise?
no,
Oh.
but I also want to go up there with somebody that's like very. Obviously I'm not saying I don't trust your skills, but somebody that's very well versed in like camping, like somebody that does that very frequently. Because I know you might go like once a year, but somebody that goes a lot that could kind of just like show me the ropes.
I know. I mean, you don't really. You've met Ethan like a couple times, but I feel like Ethan would be the perfect person to go with. You don't. You haven't seen him in nature.
I don't know if I want to see Ethan in nature.
Well, when he's in nature, A, he makes it really fun, and B, he makes it like he knows what he's doing. Because I told you he's camped like everywhere. He's camped in Hawaii. He's camped in the Grand Canyons. He's camped in multiple places in Texas.
I mean, if he's still alive, then that tells me something. Because Ethan makes questionable decisions sometimes, to say the least.
Oh
so.
yeah, for sure. But that's what makes it fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyway, to get into your spring break story, I know it's not as lengthy, but share the details of it that you.
I mean, like it first started off with. First off, I forgot spring break was happening because.
Classic.
Well, it's also because our spring break was really early compared to like other schools.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because ours started 2 weeks earlier than like most schools. Because NC State's spring break is next week. UNCW's spring break just started this week, and like other schools.
I think Liv starts this week. Actually.
Yeah, probably Liv. Yeah, Asheville's probably started this week.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of schools that like we were the first school to have like spring break, which was like nice, but at the same time not because it was nice because the weather we got was for the most part nice. I know for you like in.
It was just that one day that it rained.
Yeah, like other than that, like then the weather was here nice. The weather in Raleigh was nice for the most part. There was one day that, like you said, it was chilly. And how I chose to do my spring break was to spend most of it in Charlotte.
Yeah.
But the first couple of days, I kind of had my routine, but like modified because my normal routine is where I just go to the gym and then go to class and then go to practice. But A, I didn't have practice, so then I didn't need to do anything practice related. But B, I spent a lot more time in the gym, which was very nice because during spring break, everyone's gone. So everyone's doing their vacation stuff, their spring break stuff, going to Florida. I know a lot of people that went to Florida for spring break, but what I did is I went to the gym, which was very nice, very empty. Normally I'm there for like 2.5 hours because I'm waiting for equipment to be used or be done, but I was most of the time there for only like 2 hours, hour 45, because nobody was there. But I did that for the first couple days. But then I went to Raleigh on Wednesday to go stunt with some of my I went to go help my high school coach stunt with her new kids that are coming for next year. And there's a lot of potential. There's this one guy, he is a freshman this year, has never done anything cheer related ever in his life, and he did a standing backflip on his first try. He did a running
without ever attempting one before.
Mm-hmm.
What the?
That's what I'm saying. So he did
raw
like
talent at its finest.
No, and then after that he did a running front flip for the first time as well, landed it, and then he also tossed a girl by himself for the first time too, and caught her feet.
Those people make me sick.
Well, it's crazy because like I talked about it with my coach. Each year, like these kids get like better and better. I swear, because like my year, when I went like joined the team, I sucked. Like I generally was so bad. And then the year after me, I had like two kids that came in, like two boys. They were built different. Like they got everything like pretty much immediately. And then the year after that, there's a kid that came in. At this point, like he's almost on the same level, like skill level as I am, and that's this year. Like he is really, really good. He's gotten some of the skills that I've done before, but then now that freshman, literally a freshman this year, never done cheer before, got like 3 skills that takes people like months to do.
Yeah.
So these skills are built different each year, so it's crazy. And then so I did that, and then I went home to an empty house because my family was not home yet. my family was still in Vietnam during that time. They came back on like, I think they came back Saturday. Yeah, they came back Saturday. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. But went home, hung out with some people in Raleigh, and then I drove back. Did I drive back? I drove back Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I came back to Charlotte on Thursday because I wanted like a day to chill out before I had to do stuff. So I drove back Thursday, came here, went to... Oh, I did not go to the gym on Thursday because I got back late. So I think I just had like a chill night that night, if I remember correctly. I didn't really do much because I know you were probably...
Which night?
Thursday night. I don't think
Probably. I went to bed, I think, kind of early that night.
Oh, yeah, because you had to wake up early on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Friday... I guess afternoon because that's when I woke up. I woke up, went to the gym, had like a regular day, nothing different. And then Saturday was like, well, the weekend was like the eventful time because Saturday I had to wake up early and I cheered my last basketball game ever, my whole cheerleading career. I guess cheered my last game in general ever. It was bittersweet to say the least, but kind of executed in a interesting way to say the least, but it was very nice because usually for like because it was a senior night, most of the time seniors have like an escort to like escort you onto the court and they like tell you like your name, blah blah blah, everything. But like I didn't have an escort because my family was still in Vietnam, so I didn't know who it was gonna be. And then one of my old high school coaches actually drove 2.5 hours to Charlotte to escort me, which was very, very, very nice. Wasn't expecting that at all. Craig showed up to the game too to support me. He said he literally only came for me because he left after my walkout.
At a boy, Craig.
But then that was nice. So after the game, me and my flyer Gracie drove 2.5 hours to Raleigh right after the game because we had to work a competition. Because I'm a broke bitch right now. So we drove 2.5 hours to work a competition on Sunday. And I got back to Raleigh. So, yeah, I went to Raleigh twice this weekend for the same amount of time. Wednesday, it was only like one day, basically. So I drove back to Raleigh, got back, I hung out with one of my friends for her birthday for a little bit, and went home to go to sleep because I had to be up by 4:30 in the morning to go get ready, pick up Gracie because we had to work this competition at 6:30, and I was at this competition from 6:30 a.m. to like 8:30 p.m. and then I had to drive back to Charlotte the same night. I mean, I didn't have to, but I just chose to. So I didn't get back from Charlotte. I get back to Charlotte until like 11:30, and then I passed out after that.
Yeah,
but. The competition was very eventful. I already told you everything about that earlier, but everything, because it was the last competition of the season for like All-Star or like the regular season, I guess. Next is like Worlds, which is like a big competition for everyone. But this was like the last one for the regular season. And everything you could imagine happened at this competition.
I guess emphasis on probably like to go wrong.
Oh, yeah. Everything
sense.
that went wrong.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, you and I, not me.
Well, after I corrected you on that, you said it wrong again, like two times after. You do it on purpose?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. God, I was literally shaking my head when you said it again.
Oh, I know.
Oh, cool. Work.
English no good?
No, you can't do that. You're not allowed to use that excuse.
Why? What you mean?
You have some nerves, sir. But
What you mean?
I'm not going to continue. I'm frightened.
Oh yeah. Now I got the internet on my side.
The Uncle Ruckus thing from the Boondocks. I apologize for my outburst.
Kevin from Ben 10. Go on.
Yeah, and no, I think I've said something wrong.
I think I've made a mistake here. But yeah, that was my spring break. It wasn't. Oh yeah, I got back. Well, yeah, so like after the competition, because I worked from like 6:30 in the morning to 8:30, I went to get Zaxby's. And like you ever, I mean, like you said, you had drives where it's like super easy because you said the drive to Gatlinburg was like 4 hours, but didn't feel like 4 hours. This drive back from Charlotte or like Raleigh to Charlotte was like 2.5 hours. No, it was like not even. It's 2:15 because I was like in downtown working it. Felt so long. It was so long.
That drive in specific, or I guess specifically, it's a constant cold cycle of like, he knows what to say, but he doesn't do it correct. Story of my life.
Boy.
But see, I don't remember what I was going to talk about. Oh, that drive specifically, there's some days where it feels like super quick, and there's some days where you get back, you just collapse immediately because it was the longest.
You're talking about driving from Raleigh to Charlotte, or the other way?
I'm trying to think. I think because what is on my water bottle? My mom asked me about that the other day. Actually, I think the drive back to me feels longer than the drive down.
I agree.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, because like usually when we drive from Charlotte to Raleigh, it's usually like earlier in the day. So
Yeah.
like we have like more energy. But like I
guess that's true.
I think like driving from Raleigh to Charlotte, we usually leave after doing stuff with like either family or friends. So like you're already tired and exhausted, so we drive back and we're pooped. But
Yeah.
I think it helps if you drive with someone else normally, because even though the drive felt long, I was talking to Allie, funny enough, for like an hour and a half, so that made the drive easier. But I was like swerving a lot in that drive.
What a woman, man. Allie's such a good person.
So we caught up. It was good to talk to her a little bit. I was gonna call you, but I assumed you were passed out. Honestly.
You assume correctly.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Because like I actually checked your location at one point to see like if you were back at the. Well, I checked it because you did the same thing for me. I was checking if you were at the apartment already, and you were at the apartment early because it was like what 3 p.m. or something.
It's like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and I checked it. I was like 3 or 4. I'm like, dude, I thought you were getting back like way
Well, we
later.
were gonna be back even earlier, but we went shopping for like an hour and a half. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was expecting you to be back like later, like maybe like 8.
No, I didn't want to be back either because we had today to do. So we had a lot to do today.
That's fair.
But yeah, so I'm glad we got back early. But
Yeah, no, I just got back and I got back late because I also left late. So
yeah, but you don't have class today, so I guess that's nice.
yeah, I mean, I could have gotten back today, but I really didn't want to because I didn't want to spend today driving.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
fair.
to like spend today to chill, so and
You're-
recover, which was nice because. But oh yeah, I forgot to mention because I went to the gym today. I told you, the gym was like so packed today, like. It felt like it was New Year's all over again. I think because people went to summer words, holy. I almost said
It's good to be back, isn't it?
yeah. Because people were on spring break, I think they just like blew off their money and then blew off like their diet.
For sure. Yeah.
And like probably didn't go to the gym. That they're like, all right, I had my fun. I guess it's time to get back and like get in shape again or something like that. Or like they had like a second coming of Jesus over the spring break or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That every single person on campus was there. Like I told you, it was so packed. I saw people I've never seen before in my life too. I'm just like, who are y'all? Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, it was a very interesting workout. But yeah, the one word I have to say about the whole gym was
Inside joke, nobody's gonna understand.
no. That's just in general. I'm not talking about the
Well,
inside joke, but in
no,
general,
yeah, I
because
know.
there's more people. But
Yeah.
I guess that joke too.
Oh, that's what you meant today. When you're just like, yeah, the gym in general is just foul smell coming from. But, yeah. So I guess all in all, just kind of, I've definitely noticed as we've gotten older. You could probably agree with it that like spring break, The joke that I made to my mom the other day before spring break kind of happened was that breaks in college for me go a lot like this. I'll wake up and my mom's like, "Hey, so how's spring break going?" I'm like, "Oh, we are on spring break."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or she'll be like, "Oh yeah, so what are you planning on doing for spring break next week?" And I'm like, "Wait, spring break's next week?" And she's like, "Cole, are you coming home? Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And
Well,
just
see,
go
I
outside.
think that's very different per person because, like, unlike us, Allie had like a long spring break.
Well, yeah, because I mean, especially if you plan out like something to do basically every day, you're going to be anticipating it. So
Well, yeah, because Allie went to like 4 places during spring break. She went to Myrtle Beach, then she went to Raleigh, and then from Raleigh she went to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte she went to Atlanta, Georgia, and then from Atlanta went to Greensboro, back to Charlotte, then to Raleigh because she went to the competition too. Then to Winsett, I think. I don't know what that is. And then back to Charlotte.
now she's going to Texas tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
living a life most people dream of.
So, and I'm over here like, bro, I went to Charlotte, I went to Raleigh and back, and I was tired.
I went to Raleigh twice in a 1 week span.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Send help, please.
And she went to Atlanta. Like, that's a far drive.
I mean, I've heard it's not that bad of a
It's
drive.
not bad, but like, it's still far. Like, I drove to Atlanta, and it's like about 5 hours from here.
Yeah.
But she drove to, oh yeah, she drove to Atlanta from Charlotte. Yeah, it was about 5 hours. It was so gruesome. But granted, when I drove, the first 2 hours, because I drove like with 4 people in my car to Atlanta. The first 2 hours they were asleep, so I was just like fighting the urge to fall asleep behind the wheel while I was driving.
Well, that's good. Good peace of mind.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like a shotgun barrel was scratching behind my neck.
why? Why would you? Am I gonna have to timestamp to cut that?
If you want.
Oh yeah, 106. Oh my goodness.
Should you do that on your phone?
I actually didn't start the timer. I was
you
going
didn't?
to, but I also realized like now that I'm next to it, because when we're out in the living room, I can't see it because it's on
but
the
you
table.
can see it now.
I think that's why I started doing that. Honestly, don't remember. There's a method to the madness, I guess.
I guess.
But yeah, unfortunately, I think this panned out a lot better than episodes that we haven't had a topic for in the past, because we actually had like a pretty good amount of stuff to talk about.
We also had a break, so like.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the ones in the past were like Cool November Night and stuff like that. We were joking on me about for earlier. Those were just kind of like improv. We didn't really have anything super specific to talk about.
It's gonna be Spring Breeze for this episode.
Chill, bro.
He was making fun of me earlier for that name because I was talking about like the Cool November Night, and he was like shitting on me for like, oh, Spring Breeze. What is that? Like Febreze?
Yeah,
Like
you said it
spell?
sounds like a candle.
And I'm sitting over here like, bruh, like you can't tell me that sounds terrible when you say Cool November Night, huh?
If I title this one Spring Breeze, I gotta put like the flower emojis like next to it.
No,
or whatever.
please don't, bro.
You brought this upon yourself.
Next thing you put like the fairy in it too.
The nail thing.
Oh, no.
The painting nail.
Oh my
emoji.
god. Put some crystals in there for Zuri.
She loved that actually.
I know she would.
So, and when she listens to this episode in 4 months, then she'll be like, "Hey," she'll text me and be like, "Yeah." She's kind of behind a little bit, but
That's okay.
We still love
you
each
should
other.
tell the people about your bracelet too.
I shouldn't tell people about my bracelet. I'll be happy to tell anybody that asks me about my bracelet, but I'm not gonna go out there and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm quite tired. So this is gonna be one of the
Really?
shorter episodes. Dude, have you not
Oh,
seen me yawning?
I
Like
did see
crazy?
he's on, but I wasn't sure.
Sorry, Nick. This is gonna be one of the shorter episodes, which you're welcome, M, because my sister will be the first to tell me that these episodes make them
Right.
shorter because she's not trying to. She wants to support me, but not for 3 hours. So yeah, we're gonna end here. But the one thing there weren't a whole lot of subliminal messages. That's a hard. I can never pronounce
Subliminal?
it. Huh?
Subliminal?
Yeah, but you should look at the end. So
Subliminal?
subliminal messages.
Mm-hmm.
There haven't been a whole lot of subliminal messages throughout this episode. But the one thing that I will say, which has kind of just been a theme throughout my life over the past few weeks, was that if you get to a point where you're happy, just embrace it. because I've been having so much fun over the past few weeks, or I guess now the past 2 months or so, month or so, and I've just been around like so many nice people, and it's just been such a good time. And I was talking to Zuri, and I were actually joking about it earlier today, because I've seen Zuri out of the past week. I've seen her like 5 days out of the 7 days in a week. And I was like, wow, I thought we would have been sick of each other by now or whatever. But when I went into work today, Zuri was like, "Oh, I miss you." I was like, "Really? I thought you would have been sick of me by now." And she said, "I think I'm having withdrawals because I've just been around you so much. Like now that she's not, it's kind of like a weird feeling, I guess." But yeah, man, if you get to a point where you're just happy or you're in like a really good state of mind, try and enjoy it as long as you can. Because I mean, like I said, the album came to chase my dreams or to just lie down. Came at just such like an important time in our life, and like I know that you might not be it's not that like you're depressed or anything. Please don't comment.
I'm
on
not.
That. Yeah, but obviously, like you and I are kind of in different emotional
I'm better
states.
now. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also definitely noticed that too. But just if you get to a point where you're just enjoying yourself and you're enjoying the people around it, don't take it for granted, because you're really gonna look back on it. Because there's plenty of times, I think, when I was kind of in my little slump a little bit, where I looked back at it and I was like, I could have been so much happier if I just kind of put my focus in other aspects of my life. And now that I'm kind of at that point right now, it's just been so much fun, and I've enjoyed like every day for the past, like I said, like 2 months or something like that. So, and this trip and this spring break was just kind of a cherry on top of an ice cream that at one point melted, but now it's a completely new cone, so to speak. So one of the weirdest analogies I will ever give. But
Craig's nutting in his pants right now with these analogies.
Yo.
Well, you know he loves like the analogies and like. If you can see the
I just finished such a sweet little like soliloquy, and Tom was like, "You know what? Craig is hard right now, bro."
I mean, okay, it was a good message, but you know, Craig, he loves like analogies and metaphors. You know that.
Well, you know, he just lost it listening to that, which I don't know. I mean, I guess now at this point, I have to keep it in. I can't cut that. Oh man.
Well, I was gonna say, to piggyback off of you,
bro, my family listens. That's why I don't listen. I don't co-sign that message that Thomas just put out there.
It wasn't a message.
That was the hope. That's worse. Stop talking. Man, I don't even know what to say. Thanks, buddy.
Well, okay. I was gonna say, to piggyback off of what you said, a message I would say is just to not take life too seriously, because I actually was having a conversation about with someone the other day about like. We were talking about like financials and monies, because they were talking about like how their first job was like 18, and I was talking about like my first job I got was 14, and I've worked my life. What?
We've talked about it several times. I think you were very much not allowed to be working when you were 14.
Yeah, no, that's the legal age. 14 in North Carolina is the legal age to work.
To get paid?
Yeah. I was getting paid before 14. That was illegal. We're not going to talk about that. But
correct.
But at 14, that was the legal age to work. But that's what I'm saying. I started working at like the earliest possible age, 14, and I worked from 14 to 19. And during those years of my life were probably like the most serious of my life, I would say, because I was always working, and like I never stopped really for the most part, and like enjoyed life. Like a lot of times, like I remember, you probably remember too, y'all would ask me like to hang out. I'd be like, sorry, I can't, I'm working. Like a lot of times, I would try to like. There's sometimes I do like come out and hang out with y'all, but for the most part, like I was always working or training and stuff like that. And recently, I've learned that not everything's about like working and money. Like I gotta take a step back and actually like enjoy my life and do things that I want to do before I get old, when I can't do it anymore. You know, because we only live life not once, but I mean we live life once, but we also go through experiences once.
Yeah.
So
I've also kind of been on a journey of just like, this is going to sound like I'm an old head or whatever, but like I'm just trying to enjoy my youth as much as possible.
Yeah,
Because
I
like when I
enjoy
was
it.
stuck in traffic on the way to work today, I don't know why this popped in my head, but we have a girl in Sanaya. She's still in high school, so she was
Mhm.
telling us kind of like high school stories. She was like, "Yeah, after the football game, we went out to get food and everything like that." I was like, oh, "Man, I miss those days, like in high school,
and getting ice cream.
where we go to
Good berries.
cookout in back in Raleigh and
Eating
like
good berries.
yeah." Well, we would go to more like our senior year. We would go to
Yeah, kind
cookout
of.
sometimes, but like go to Goodberry's after the football game, or just like go to each other's house. Like I really miss those days, but
Simpler times, man. Simpler times.
yeah. But now that we're an adult and we kind of have these freedoms that we do, you have memories, but they kind of take on a different persona. in a
There's
way.
pros and cons to getting older.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm trying to enjoy my youth, quote unquote, while I still can, even though I'm a full legal adult now. But
Just enjoy the experiences that you go through while you can.
before I graduate college, because after you graduate, you get into the workforce and then you're
Mhm.
just stuck for the rest of your life.
I
pretty
mean,
much,
even
so-
if you stay in school after you graduate, it's still not the same as like your undergrad
yeah,
because you go through graduate school, and these people are actually smart compared to some of the people you meet in undergrad.
yeah,
So like now you feel like you actually have to like apply yourself and do schoolwork.
it's kind of like too some of these out of the body experiences that I have. Like the other day, I was just standing in the apartment. I was like, "Damn, I'm really like not living at home. Like I'm not with my parents anymore."
That's wild.
Even
to
though that's
me.
been the case for like 3 years
Yeah.
now, 4 years now. I was like, "Yo, like it just." You get stuck in that cycle so much, you just forget that that's a thing.
Mhm.
And I just took a second to think about that the other day, and it just blew my mind
No,
completely.
yeah. I'm one of the biggest things that I realized too. Funny enough, like these out of body experiences was when I was driving back from Raleigh to Charlotte. At one point, before I like dowsed off again and was drifted into the another road.
Maybe don't say that.
I was tired. Okay, was that I was
before I hit that kid on my way back.
was that I was driving because like before you were driving me to school in high school all the time.
Memories.
Yeah, so then I'm like, I'm actually like driving, and like this is normal now. Like I'm not used to driving so much,
Mhm.
because I went from you driving me pretty much everywhere, or like my mom driving me pretty much everywhere before I got like a car, to I drive everyone everywhere now.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, what the heck? This is not what I expected.
Karma. It's not really karma, but it is.
It's just
It is funny.
It's just repaying my debts, basically.
Yeah. Got a couple more years to pay that up.
What? What do you mean? You didn't drive me that much in high school.
No, I'm just kidding.
about to say.
The other thing too, like when we were in the mountains and we were talking about like money, and I spent too much on this trip. I was like, man, I need that state to hit my bank account. It's like I got my federal already, but I need that state tax return to come
Oh,
back.
bro, I actually have to turn in my taxes. I forgot
You
about
still
that.
haven't filed. Zuri hasn't either. So
I mean, it's due in April.
yeah,
Plus, my family was gone, so I can't just send it to them.
I guess that's true.
So-
But yeah, that was kind of nice when that federal hit. I was like, ooh, baby.
How much did you get back?
And then it went back
was it a
immediately.
lot?
It was a decent amount.
Did I tell you one year when I got my taxes back? Can you guess how much money I got back in taxes one year? This is when I was working at the job that I worked at the beginning, like in high school. I got $7 one year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You worked hella. I would have thought you got more.
But like I was a high school student, so like when you're a high school student, especially like 14, you can only work like a certain amount.
Well, you're also a dependent too,
Mhm.
so
So I got $7 one year, and then the next year I was like, okay, I'm about to get more money. Can you guess how much I got the next year?
$8.
No,
How much?
I got $11. A whopping $4 raise.
Just have to take a guess.
Yeah, so no, it's not. Not
No,
even.
it's not.
for me.
It's like
May-
a quarter.
maybe
For
back-
me, that's like a quarter.
Maybe back then in high school, yeah, but now that's like not even a quarter.
Well, yeah, for how much you drove.
Mm-hmm. Cause yeah, I spent like almost $50 in gas this like week because I drove so much.
Yeah, nah, I wouldn't.
Well, yeah, you didn't drive to Bryson City, so that was
Yeah,
nice.
I was very thankful. Shout out my boy Chris for driving us. I thanked him too on the way up there, but
Was it a nice car that you drove in?
dude, his car is really nice. Like I'd never been in Chris's car before, but he
Mhm.
drives I think it's a Cherokee.
Oh, so it's a big car.
Yeah, and he's got like the leather seats, like the brown leather seats in the back. Oh, it was so nice.
That's nice.
But yeah, his car is really nice. Like, I said that, and I think Kayla and Tyler like both said the same thing, and Chris was like, "Stop," because we kept saying it. Like we didn't even plan for all of us to obviously compliment.
Well, it's
him.
funny because like I used to be like a big person where like, all right, I gotta keep my car clean for like people to sit in my car.
Yeah.
Because I used to drive a lot of people. I mean, I still do now, but like not as much. But now my car is just—it's not like a dump, but like my car just has a bunch of stuff in it. So like the biggest thing that people always see, because I have a giant ball of tape in the back of my car, it just like rumbles around in the back of my seat. And like it hits people's ankles. They're like, "Ah, what the fuck was that?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Oh shit!" It's just like my bowling ball size of tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I was wrapping it up, and then we just
Got a
in
tangent.
typical perspective fashion, we just completely derailed. But
Yeah.
but yeah, buy our shirt.
I was just about to say that.
Really?
I was actually just about to say that.
I put that for anybody that saw that. I put that as the caption for last week's episode.
Please buy our shirt.
I just put buy our shirt, please.
You know how many
real-
people actually wanted them? Because I know last time we
in
counted.
total now probably like 10.
Okay, I was about to say. 'cause
But
last time-
also for anybody that's finishing this episode right now, like reach out and tell me if you want one or not.
Yeah,
because
you can
I'm
reach out
having
to me too.
Yeah, reach out to Thomas or me because I'm having to seek out and be like, do you want one? Because it'll be less expensive if more people want it. So that's why I'm trying to, because I really want one.
Maybe.
No, if you bulk buy it, it costs.
Yeah, but like how much bulk will make it actually cheaper?
Well, more than 10 people. So if we could at least double that, that'll be
20?
really beneficial.
Ain't that like $400?
Brother, 10 is like, I'm not even gonna bring that up to you. I'll let you see that when it's in our cart.
Oh, okay. You mean your card?
No, but yeah, next week we are going to have a guest again. We already have somebody lined up, so
We actually have like 3 people lined up now.
yeah, I'm just gonna bring them in a room and throw a sword at their feet and say,
Throw a sword?
yeah, say who wants to be on it this badly tonight. So only one per 3 enter a room, one's making it out alive.
I know who's making it out alive.
Okay. We can talk about that after. But yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in this week. It's a little bit shorter of an episode, comparatively speaking, because this season we've had a couple 3-hour doozies. But yeah, that's just kind of what's been going on in our life over the past at least few days, if not kind of like few weeks. Both in a good spot right now, so definitely something to cherish and not take for granted. So can't wait to see who we talk to next week, but until then we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye, y'all.